Right, good morning grade 11s. Today is Friday and today we are going to start with some grade 11 finance. This is the finance you'll be doing till the end of matric, so it's very important for you to understand what is going on. So in grade 10 you only did finance that was based on annual interest rates, so all of it would have said a certain percentage compounded annually. In grade 11, you will have to put your thinking cap on because that compounded annually is going to change. Now, I can use words like compounded semi-annually or even biannually, which means instead of receiving interest once a year, I am receiving it twice a year. I can say compounded quarterly, which means it's 4 times a year. I can make it compounded monthly, which is 12 times a year, or I can say compounded daily, which is 365 times a year. So focusing on nominal and effective interest rates. Nominal interest rates is where I'm going to use this semi-annually, quarterly, monthly, and daily. So nominal interest rates is an interest rate that is compounded more than once a year. Effective interest rate only happens annually. So effective interest rate is once a year. That is the difference between nominal interest rates and effective interest rates. So let's look at how they can write it. So nominal interest rates, instead of saying 8% per annum compounded quarterly, you can write it as I to the power 4. That is, your interest rate is made up 4 times a year because it was quarterly. So the interest rate quarterly is 0.08%. If I say 14% per annum compounded monthly, instead of using all of those words, I can say the interest rate over 12 months was not over 12, every month of the year is 0.14%. Right, so instead of writing out those words, your examiner can tell you I to the power 4, which means the interest rate was compounded quarterly. Or it could say I to the power of 12, and you should know that the interest rate was compounded monthly. So what do we do with effective interest rate? Well, effective interest rate will have the percentage, but it will be divided by the period, so whether monthly, quarterly, but it happens once a year. So if I say 8% compounded biannually, it means 8% over 2, because biannually means twice a year. If I say 8% compounded monthly, it means I have 8% that needs to be divided into 12 months. Okay, so each month you will get exactly the same interest rate. Now, that is not actually what you're going to work with. The next set of work is what you are going to work with the entire time. So the nominal interest rate formula. So you are used to A is equal to P1 plus I to the power of N. Right? That was in grade 10. Because in grade 10, you only worked with annually compound interest, which means it was over 1 and times by 1. Right, so I'm going to use the same formula, but now I'm going to add my different periods. It's very easy. Whatever you divide the interest rate with, you will times the number of years with. So if I do quarterly, it means in 2 years I will have 8 times that interest rate. So nothing changes. A is still accumulated value, P is still principal value, I is still the interest rate, remember using decimals, N is still the number of years. Just a note on that. Your teachers in grade 11 is going to try and test you. So instead of giving you years, they're going to give you like 18 months. Now 18 months is 1 year and 6 months, which means it's 1 over 6, well 1 and 6 over 12, which is 1.5. Use 3 over 2. It's very easy to use that instead of a mixed fraction. M is representing the nominal period, which is your semi-annually, your quarterly, your monthly, or your daily. So you will have divide by 2 times by 2 if it is semi-annually. You will have divide by 4 times by 4 if it's quarterly. You will have divide by 12 or times by 12 if it's monthly. And you will have divide by 365 and times by 365 if it's yearly. So you will see when you do the example now with me and the homework exercises that once you get into a routine of dividing and timesing by the same number, it's very, very easy. Because luckily for you, your calculator is still going to do all the work for you. You just need to do the substitution, and I'm sure you're able to do it at this stage. So let's look at this example. So they say deposit 14,000 Rand for 6 years. Calculate the accumulated amount at the end of 6 years in each case. So first of all, that is my P value, that is my N value. Okay? Now they say 8%. Now 8% is 0,08 compounded quarterly. What does quarterly mean? I am going to do it 4 times in a year. Okay, so using my nominal nominal interest rate formula, I am going to substitute P, substitute the interest rate. My nominal period is quarterly, so it's divide by 4, which means I'm going to times the number of years by 4. So first simplify 6 times 4 is 24. Make sure you enter these values correctly into your calculator. And remember, we round up to 2 decimal places only in the final answer. Okay, so that was quarterly. So what if I change it and say 8%? So it's 0,08 compounded, so compound interest rate, monthly. So that means I'm going to get this interest rate 12 times in 1 year. So my P value is 14,000. My interest rate is 8%. Monthly means divide by 12. Years, I've got 6, but it's 6 times 12. So in 6 years, I have 72 months. Slot it into your calculator and round up to 2 decimal places. Right. Then I can ask you a question saying which investment will be the best, which nominal interest rate is going to be the best. That's where you compare the answers, and looking at these 2 answers, I get what? That monthly will give me the most suitable interest. Right, so we're going to practice this nominal interest rate by doing the following. So exercise 12.2 on page 334, you're going to do number 2, 4 and 5. They are all single calculations as per the example. Now, I want you to also try the more challenging questions where it will take you 2 calculations to get to the final answer. Because in the following questions, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15, they are going to tell you that the investment is for 6 years, but for the first 2 years you have an interest rate compounded monthly, and for the rest of the time you will have it compounded semi-annually. So you will have to work out your monthly answer using all the decimals, because that's not the final answer, and carry over that amount with all its decimals into my next calculation, where I will have to do it semi-annually. I hope you have a good time. Enjoy your weekend. I'll see you on Monday.